A Prayer for My Daughter by W.B. Yeats demonstrates the poet's concern and anxiety over the future well-being and prospects of his daughter, Annie Butler Yeats. He wrote the poem in 1919, shortly after the birth of his daughter and near the end of the World War I. So the ongoing unsettling feel is visible in the background and the poet's mind everywhere. The poem appeared for the first time in his poetry collection Michael Roberts and Dancer in 1921. A Prayer for My Daughter reflects the poet's love for his daughter. The poem is also about surviving the turmoil of the contemporary world, where passions and emotions have been separated by reason. In this poem, we see a father consumed by apprehensions for his daughter's future in an uncertain political situation. The speaker is the poet himself, thinking about the future of his daughter. The tone of the poem is gloomy and frightening. Prayer for My Daughter by William Butler Yeats opens with an image of the newborn child sleeping in a cradle. The poem opens with a description of the poet praying for his innocent infant daughter Annie, as Tom is raging with great fury outside his residence. The poet demonstrates his feelings through the use of symbols of weather. The storm born on the Atlantic Ocean is emblematic of the larger violence of the Irish War for Independence and the widespread bloodshed during the World War I. The external unrest is a reflection of the poet's internal trauma. The image of the child sleeping innocently by the haystack evocatively signifies the image of Christ after his birth. Once more the storm is howling and half hid under the cradle hood, and coverlet my child sleeps on. These are the opening lines of the poem. We may call this poem a prayer because the poet describes his own wishes for the development of the personality of his daughter. In the opening lines of the poem, the poet depicts the condition of the weather outside. The nature is violent, and fierce storm is blowing while his daughter sleeps in her cradle. Annie is unaware of the violent forces around her. The forces may be riots, violence, starvation, or decay of moral values in the modern world. The storm is a metaphor for the people's struggle for independence, which was an uncertain political situation in Yeats's days. There is political upheaval all around in Ireland. There is widespread death and destruction because of the First World War. The daughter's ignorance protects her from the uneasy knowledge of the disturbed contemporary world. In fact, Yeats composed the poem a few weeks after the birth of his daughter Annie, who was born on the 24th of February 1919, when the First World War was just going on. The stormy atmosphere reminds us of the weather when Jesus Christ was born, although this is not a religious poem. A great gloom is on Yeats's mind, and he is consumed with anxiety as to how to protect his child from the hard times. The poet keeps walking and praying for his young child, and he does so. He is in a state of reverie. He feels a kind of gloom and worry about the future of his daughter. The poet says, "And for an hour have I walked and prayed because of the great gloom that is in my mind. I have walked and prayed for the young child an hour." So this is the setting. The poet is walking and praying, and then he remembers the moments and tranquility. In the Middle East, off the roof leveling wind, the poet has walked and prayed for his young child. He says, "As I walk and pray for my young daughter, I imagine in a state of excitement and reverie that the future years, the years of violence and bloodshed and frenzy have already come, and they seem to come dancing to the accompaniment of drums, which is beating frantically." This is the situation. This is the mood of the poem, the state of anxiety, tension. Imagining in excited reverie that the future years had come dancing to a frenzied drum out of murderous innocence of the sea. These are the lines the poet writes. These future years are seen by Yeats' imagination as emerging out of the murderous sea, treacherous innocence of the sea. In other words, the sea seems to be innocent, but is capable of giving birth to those howling storms which are capable of leveling everything on the way. Despite the apprehensions of his child, about his child in the turbulent world, the poet is hopeful for his daughter. The poet continues to comment on his hopes for her beauty. He wants his daughter to possess some qualities so that she can feel the future years independently and with confidence. Yet says, let her be given beauty, but a more important thing is that her beauty should not be of a kind which may either make her proud of her beauty herself or distract a stranger's mind and a stranger's eyes. He does not want that kind of beauty. He says, may she be granted beauty and yet not beauty to make a stranger's eye distraught, or hers before a looking glass. For such being made beautiful overmuch, consider beauty a sufficient end. Lose natural kindness and maybe the heart-revealing intimacy that chooses right, and never find a friend. Praying to God, the poet says that the beauty should be granted to his daughter, yet the poet does not want his daughter to be made so beautiful as to distract the attention even of a stranger. It should not become the cause of emotional torment to a stranger by making him fall in love with her. The poet again says that she should not be made too beautiful, because if she is made so, she may consider beauty an end in itself, and that the beauty strikes the sight only, whereas charms win the soul. The pride may further lead to her losing natural kindness. Without an emotional kindness and warmth, she will not be able to find an intimate friend or a suitable life partner or a husband. The poet lays emphasis on the need for a feminine innocence. The poet wishes that his daughter be like a flourishing tree far from the public eye. Yeats hopes that her thoughts will be like the linnet, a small bird that her songs may spread magnanimity all around. Her thoughts shall not instigate fights and create conflicts. He expects her not to get involved in quarrels except for just cause. Like a green laurel tree, she would remain rooted at one place, but her goodness would branch out all around. The color green emblematizes the quality of the evergreen and fruitfulness. He advocates that she should be benevolent, kind, beautiful, and he says that she should not be like Helen of Troy. Her beauty should not be that which instigated war. There were wars and battles all around because of her beauty. He wants her to be, he does not want her to be excessively beautiful, because such people don't find good friends in the true sense of the word. The great thing about the poem is that it has a specific as well as general applicability. At the same time, the poem makes an intellectual reference to, personal reference to Maud also, whom Yeats loved so much and yet could not win her heart. There is an autobiographical strain here, alluding to his love for that lady. He, proposed to that lady several times, and she rejected his requests, his proposals. It was futile, as she turned a blind eye to him. Yeats squandered away the years in hopelessness. He was a fool to think that she reciprocated his love. But later on, he compromised with this kind of situation. He accepted the fate. An intellectual hatred is the worst, he says. And in the 58th line, so let her think opinions are accursed. Have I not seen the loveliest woman born out of the mouth of plenty's horn? Because of her opinionated mind, barter the horn and every good She bartered away everything by quiet natures understood. For an old bellows full of angry wind. So she was a beautiful, benevolent lady, but what did she get? She got involved in turmoils and other things. The poet wishes that his daughter should not cultivate a frantic intellect. He thinks that his daughter can remain innocent if she is free from hatred and intellectual fanaticism. The innocence is self-delighting, self-appeasing, and self-affrighting. The poet prays that his daughter should not have intellectual hatred, because it is worst of all hatreds. And if intellectual hatred is removed from her mind, she will remain she will keep her fundamental innocence with her. Her sound will become pure. She will then feel that all the joys are within her. She will have self-satisfaction. She will feel frightened for doing anything wrong. She will then live a happy life and will not get disgusted on having hostile opinions from others. She will think that whatever happens to her is the will of God. In these lines, the poet is not only talking about a particular girl, his daughter, but also talking about the whole humanity. The poet's last wish is that his daughter should marry a person of an aristocratic family who may take her to a home where tradition and ceremony fill the atmosphere. By the end of the poem, we see that the poet wants his daughter to be courteous. She must earn love with good efforts and kind-heartedness, and she cannot win by merely physical beauty. These things he cannot win by physical beauty, because hearts are not had as a gift, but hearts are earned. The poet wishes that his daughter to possess such qualities that could help her face the future years confidently and independently. He wants his daughter to be confident. He wants his daughter to be independent, calm. In the end of the poem is a prayer for the order and grace in a battered civilization. Behind the prayer, of course, are Yeats' bitter memories of Morgan, who had come to stand for the tragedy of how beauty and grace can be distorted by politics, intellectual hatred, and arrogance. Now I will talk about the structure of the poem. The poem is written in a lyric form containing 10 stanzas with 8 lines in each stanza. The poem follows regular rhythm and regular rhyme scheme, which is A, B, C, D, D, C. The matter of the poem alternates between iambic pentameter and trochaic pentameter. The poem is rich in literary devices such as symbolism, personification, alliteration, and onomatopoeia. So in this way, I hope you have enjoyed the discussion. Okay, thank you very much for listening to me attentively. and I hope you will share the video with your friends and discuss the theme and other things of the poem. Thank you very much.